Yokoso, 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 Yokoso. Welcome to the Stadia Monday Night Chats, episode 101. I'm your host, Clive Illand, and of course, I hope you're good. I hope you are well and all of that. What a show we have this week. We had a great Stadia week last week in terms of games and news and stuff like that. And this week, well, this week is shaping up potentially for some very interesting, dare I say, exciting, depending from your point of view, but very interesting prospect this week with the Google for Games Developer Summit. More on that later, of course. We're going to be doing a deep dive on that. We'll have all the news, games, gossip, rumors, all of that, and I'll be looking at what we can expect from the Google for Games Developer Summit. There we are. Look, Donna Keane already subscribed. Thank you, Donna Keane, for that. But before all of that, and that does remind me, of course, say hello in the chat. Make yourself known, of course. Let me know what games you've been playing and all of that. You know the rules. Get in there, mingle, have a good chat. Let me know what you might be expecting from the Developer Summit tomorrow, of course. And formalities require me to state, of course, hit the likes before you forget there. Hit the likes because I like it, YouTube likes it, and of course it helps people like you find amazing Stadia content like this. And if you are new here and you haven't subscribed like Donna just did just then please subscribe, toggle that notification bell, and then you'll know when I go live with awesome Stadia content like this. So thank you. Right. Formalities out of the way, as they say. Let's stage dive headfirst into those at the front of the audience there, hoping that you'll catch me in your adoring arms. Let's, of course, say hello to the front row that is chat. Hello, chat. How are you, of course? Victor there. Lovely to see you, Victor. Jerome, good to see you back, Jerome. Lovely to see you. Mastar, hello. Ray, the gaming cyborg, taking time out from gaming. Always a pleasure to see you. Victor, I have to totally agree. It's quality content creator. Yeah, and the stuff looks good. This is what we strive for, But it's not just the quality, it's the content as well, my friend. Hello, Jamie. How are you? Hey, the mischief. What up, fellow Stadians? Good to see you. Jerry, lovely to see you, sir. Anthony B, and all of that. And Andrew, well, definitely no game announcements tomorrow based off Stadia tweets. Not necessarily. They could do a Stadia blog post. It doesn't have to be any game announcements in the Google Summit. Although part of me thinks they're all going to be concentrating on the summit, so we probably won't get a blog post anyway. But one could argue that you could have a game announced in the blog post. Been playing the Division games. Very good, Cloudbusters. Good to see. Again, everybody let me know what you've been playing and we can look at that later. In terms of me, I was playing a bit of PUBG last night. It's always my go-to. Pop into a bit of PUBG. Again, about as successful as I ever am, which is not. But curiously, I was really getting into Adam Wolf. Don't sleep on that game. Despite it being a so-called sort of, mobile game, click and point, it's really good. It's really interesting. It's an intriguing game, and it's a great game to play. And it's a great game to play with someone else. Now, I don't mean in co-op mode, as there isn't one. But I was playing Adam Wolf on the LG C1 with someone watching next to me, and suddenly they got intrigued, and they were working out the puzzles, reading the clues, and it was really fun, if a little bit frustrating. But it was a lot of fun. I had my partner shouting out, the thingy with the wiggly line thing that matches the what's it and the thingamajig. No, match up the what's it with turn the twisty thing with the what's it and put it in the fig. Yes. And it was quite funny anyway, but it was equally very satisfying when you have that kind of big brain moment, when you do something and you think, Yeah, I've got it. I've got it. I know this. I've solved the puzzle. Big brain. So yeah, absolutely. Really intrigued with Adam Wolf. I've just only completed the first chapter so far, but it was I was really getting into it. So definitely give that a shout. Quick hellos before I crack on with the news. Few late entrants in the front row there. Hashtag media guy. Captain, yes. All aboard for Captain Clive, of course. Consigno, how are you, sir? New country announcements, possibly. A small outside chance, I'd say. But you never know. You never know. Okay, let's get on with the news. And man, it's raining games, as they say. It's raining games. We had 2 blog posts last week, starting on the 9th. And it was a doozy, ladies and gentlemen. It was a doozy because it announced 3 games, 2 of which are really, really popular games. They've been around. Oh, but they're old games, Clive. They're old games. Yes, they are old games. But they're really, really popular games. And I say Stadia wasn't done with that first update. But let's just concentrate on this one first. So we had City Skylines, Golf with Friends, and Overcooked All You Can Eat. I don't know why I clicked on the big picture there. There we go. So Paradox Interactive. So City Skylines, it's been out since about 2015, I think. So it's a really old game, Clive. But they just keep adding stuff to it. And it's a really popular PC game. It is on consoles, I believe, but it's a really popular PC game. And again, it's an example of Stadia mixing it up. You know, you've got those console type games, you've got those indie games, got sort of leaning slightly more towards the nerdy PC games. And there's a big appetite for these sort of city building, you know, simulation games. So City Skylines, if you don't know the game, sure you all do, you're informed people and all of that. Gives you all the tools you need to create your own sprawling metropolis. So I say, really popular game. Build the city of your dreams. So there's challenging simulation, extensive local traffic simulation, districts, policies. Just basically, it's a full-on nerdy PC simulation that you can really get your teeth into. And as I said, there's a big following on Twitch on this. It's really popular game, and it's just great to see it arrive on Stadia. And of course, the great thing, there wasn't any kind of ESRB registration because it's not coming for a while. It's coming in spring 2022, so there was no clues. It was, and this is what I love when we get these announcements, these surprise blog posts of games that nobody spotted on the radar. A few people have been asking for this in forums and stuff like that, but nobody spotted it on the radar. And there you go. And another game that people have been asking for were games like Overcooked. I think we've got Merrick's Market and things like that. But Overcooked is the king of these sort of get the job done in time type games. Is that a genre? Get the job done in time type games? Anyway, Overcooked is from Team 17. And again, it's been around a long time. And I think what we're getting is the all you can eat. So that's Overcooked and all the DLC that they've had over the years. So again, this is April 2022. The other one's spring. So it doesn't actually have it doesn't say April. So I'm maybe thinking end of April, May. But Overcooked, all you can eat, is 2022, is April 2022. And of course, a real fun. And this is also 4K, 60 frames per second, if you've got Stadia Pro. So they've recently, I did come across an update on this, where, yeah, it's now 4K, 60 frames per second. They've just done some improvements to the game in terms of matchmaking, so you can play online multiplayer. For the first time ever, Overcooked goes online. For the first time ever, online multiplayer has fully integrated into Overcooked. Revisit your favorite kitchen, so all this DLC from the first game up to 4K with Stadia Pro, of course, and play online. Tasty new content, new levels, new chefs, new mayhem, all you can eat. Multiple modes. Enjoy campaign, survival, practice modes. Just loads and loads of stuff. And if we check on there, we go to here. Now, we'll come back to Team 17 because they've got some interesting games that they've released. But we'll come back to that. And, of course, the other... So, Cities, Skylines, super, super popular game. A lot of people have been... it's not my cup of tea, but I know there's a lot of, people like sort of... what's that one? Theme park simulation, things like that. And City Skylines, again, is one of the kind of major simulation games that are out there for PC. So maybe one really for the keyboard and mouse gang out there, that one. And I say Overcooked, really easy to play, not too complicated, easy to get into, all levels, so all age groups and stuff like that. It's a hella lot of fun, as they say. And then the other one, which I'm less familiar with, also from Team 17, also coming in April. So 2 of these games, defo coming in April. So we're getting a nice lineup for April. We've got some Wired Productions games. Deliver Us the Moon, I think, is coming in April. Ooh, let that slip. Coming up later. Don't worry about that. Deliver Us the Moon. But Golf with Friends, again, it's a wacky kind of mini golf course things. Why have friends if not to play golf with your friends? Golf with Friends. Nothing is out of bounds. You can take on courses filled with fast-paced, exciting, simultaneous mini golf for up to 12 players. 12-player multiplayer. You tee off against 11 golfers in simultaneous online multiplayer. Themed courses. There's even a worm course. Power-ups. 3 game modes. Classic mini golf, shoot for the pars and the hoop, or swap hole for a goal in hockey. And then there's a level editor. So there's some Stadia features which would be great with this, I think. And I wonder if state share, imagine having state share. You could create, that'd be interesting to see if they have that. You could create your own level and then share it using state share. That'd be really cool if you could do that. But really, really exciting. And none of these games were spotted on the horizon or on radar. It was just a drop and it caught everyone by surprise. And that's what I love when Stadia do that. That's kind of awesome, awesome stuff. Let me know, are you excited about these games? Are these sort of games you're kind of looking forward to and all of that? Put it in the chat. Let me know. But ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at, actually, before I go on, Team 17. So Team 17 have got some great games, interesting games here. Age of Darkness here is an RTS survival. Now, this one was interesting. Hell Let Loose. Graphically, it looks really good. And again, I'm not saying these games are coming to Stadia, but if they get a taste for it, if Team 17... obviously, Overcooked is the big game, I think, that they do. It's probably their big seller. But you get games, if they get a taste for Stadia, as it were, we've seen with Wired Productions, it's not just, a developer or a publisher doesn't just bring one game to the platform. Hopefully they've done deals or they're opening up the door for many games. But just curious, there's this game here, Hell Let Loose. Which is first-person sort of shooter set in, judging by these uniforms, Second World War. But I'm loving some of the out of focus. I don't know if you could see on the quality here. Let me just go large. You can see. Really good, and the blur and the motion there. I don't know how it plays or whether people have played this on Steam or anything. But interesting. I'm not saying it was, his game, but they got a whole wide range of different games, as I said. Are we, Hammer Ting? It's Hammer Time. It's Hammer Ting. Building game. Epic Chef. I'm curious whether we might see any of these other games or whether they've just plumped for their big sellers, their big titles, which for Team 17 is Overcooked and Golf with Friends. But anyway, Stadia was not done. They were not done with that. There was another blog post, ladies and gentlemen, another blog post later in the week, adding more content. Part of me wonders, I might come to this later. No, I say it now. Part of me wonders whether we had quite a lot last week. Part of me wonders because they're going to be so busy tomorrow with the Google for Games Developer Summit that there won't be a blog post tomorrow. So they brought it forward. Don't know. I'm just speculating, possibly. Anyway, so blog post later in the week, basically announcing, Ragnarok, which we knew is coming, available now. Dawn of Ragnarok. Have you downloaded? What am I saying? Clean your mouth out. Have you played or started playing Dawn of Ragnarok expansion? Let me know. I haven't even started Valhalla yet. I feel I need a run up to it because I'm going to be lost in that game. It's just sitting there. There's so many games just sitting there that I need to get going on. But it's just finding the time. I'm creating all this wonderful content for you guys. Anyway, Dawn of Ragnarok expansion is, of course, available. I saw Lloyd talking about this at length. I know Lloyd is a massive fan. Is Lloyd in the house? Anyway, massive fan of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And he was loving Dawn of Ragnarok and was talking all about it on Sunday. And it does seem really, really kind of interesting. That was announced. New content for Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. The Japanese theme, ladies and gentlemen, here. So this is the first season of Year 7 with Demon Vale. Adds a new operator, Azami, to the game's roster. I've talked about this before. I featured her on the show previously. But anyway, that is also coming next week. So coming this week, the first season of Year 7 in Rainbow Six Siege. And then there's this Discovery Tour. Now, some people have said this is already available. So this is an educational walkthrough. So obviously with all the Assassin's Creed, the dev team do proper historical research to kind of really give it historical realism. And this is, as Lloyd described it, a no stabby walkthrough, effectively, of the world of the Viking world of Valhalla. So you can explore the different worlds, the culture, the myths, and all of that. Immerse yourself. Go back to that. There we go. Immerse yourself in the Viking Age thanks to the Discovery Tour, like a museum, like a virtual museum. Players will roam freely throughout Norway, England, and the mythical realms of Jotunheim and Asgard in a map free of conflict or stabby, as Lloyd described it, or gameplay constraints, and relive history through stories with 8 major quests. Really cool concept. If your kid is studying the Vikings at school, hello. There you go. So arguably not new games there, but new content. But what is a new, and all from Ubisoft, of course. So all this new content from Ubisoft. So it's all new content from Ubisoft. But what is new is this. Trivial Pursuit Live. Get ready for family arguments, ladies and gentlemen. Who's got the cheese? Whose cheese is that? Who moved my cheese? March the 17th. Coming on March the 17th. I think I've missed a game here. Because there is a game coming tomorrow. I'll come to that later. So, when's that? Thursday. On Thursday, Trivial Pursuit Live. Experience the thrill. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The thrill of competing on a trivia TV game show at home or on the go, featuring different question formats to challenge players from beginner to expert. You could take on players from around the world in online play. Bring it. Bring it. Customize your gameplay Get the whole family on board. Kid-friendly questions. Thank goodness for that. Unique catch-up rounds. I wonder if... So the only thing I had with Trivial Pursuit is some of the questions were very American-based. You kind of had to find a UK edition. I don't know if it's true of any of my European colleagues. You have to find your sort of your nation's version, because they'll ask questions about, I don't know, American football or something, and you're going, I don't know. So yeah, I always remember as a kid we used to sort of find this sort of the UK edition. I wonder what this will be like. Now I did have a look here. Look, let's have a look at more details because I've not seen anybody really dive into this. So this is the game from Ubisoft. Let's go big. A modern twist on the world's most well-known trivia game. Test your knowledge in a fast-paced TV show experience. A unique question formats and diverse round types offer players a fresh take on Trivial Pursuit. It's more fun and inclusive for everyone through adapted difficulty levels and unique catch-up rounds. Play the Trivial Pursuit live game on your PlayStation, Xbox 360, Nintendo Switch, and now Stadia as of Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, as of Thursday. So it's got that look here as Family Feud. Which country is pictured here is the westernmost point of mainland Europe? Never eat shredded wheat. Ireland. I'm going Ireland. But there we go. Trivial Pursuit, ladies and gentlemen. So interesting again, family game, is it a massive AAA game? No, it's not. Is it mixing up the genres as Stadia said they would be doing? Yes, it is. And all of that. So good stuff. And of course, the great thing is, so that's coming on Thursday. We've got Mad Streets, which I forgot to mention. Mad Streets is launching tomorrow, of course. So look out for Mad Streets and all of that. Right. So as I say, lots of game and the content announcements yesterday. It was a bit of, last week. It was a bit of a bonanza there. Oh, and one thing I missed. Sorry, my people. One thing I did miss. I really did like in the blog post, and I'll go large here. I'll scroll down at the bottom here. This I thought was very interesting. More Ubisoft games are making their way to Stadia Store for you. We know that. We're still waiting for some Far Cry games, some of the older Far Cry games that's still to be ported or brought, or not ported, published to Stadia. We know they're coming. We know Oddballers is coming. It was meant to be coming next week, the 23rd, off the top of my head, but it's been moved, postponed. So it's going to come a bit later. But this here, Tom Clancy's X-Defiant. Now, we knew this was coming, but it all went a bit quiet. So the fact that they mentioned X-Defiant in the blog post is putting it front and center in our minds. Of course, this is a big game, I think. This is this is like a sort of Apex Legends type thing. A free-to-play, fast-paced arena shooter that combines intense gunplay, personalized loadout, specialized factions as teams of gunfighters called Defiants battle for domination. And I've already registered for Stadia on here. So even though Stadia's not here, don't panic. But I just thought it was interesting at the bottom of the blog post, they specifically mentioned Tom Clancy's X-Defiant, which is just it just reminds us, puts it front and center. It's very, very exciting that it's coming. So good stuff. I really like that. So could we see it sooner or later? Could we see it in the next couple of months? As I say, why mention specifically Oddballs and then Tom Clancy's Defiant? Don't know. Maybe we are going to see it. Anyway, in more game news, so we know we've talked about it before, and we know that Deliver Us the Moon from Wired Productions is coming to Stadia. Well, it looks like they leaked, ladies and gentlemen, looks like they leaked, if I can find it, a date. Where is it? Here. So shout out here to Fletch, I think. Yeah, Fletch here, who was eavesdropping on a Wired Productions podcast. Deliver Us the Moon is launching on the 22nd of April on Google Stadia. This was mentioned on the recent Wired Productions podcast, which is an awesome watch. So there you go. Deliver Us the Moon, another game coming in April on the 22nd of April. So it seems like we have an official release date for Deliver Us the Moon. So shout out to Fletch there, PSX Cloud, for spotting that and sharing that. But good to know. It seems like we have a date. Put it in the database, people. Put it on the wiki. Put that down in the wiki, ladies and gentlemen. In last week's show, we hinted as well, talking of Wired Productions, we hinted that those who remain from Wired Productions might be coming to Stadia, more than likely. And sure enough, ladies and gentlemen, sure enough, what happened last week? We had an ESRB registration for those who remain. Here we go. Windows, PC, PlayStation 4, Stadia. So this is registered. Shout out Cody here on the ESRB, certified on ESRB. Those who remain for Stadia. So although we kind of knew that those that remain was coming, could be coming sooner than later because it's been certified now as well. Could we see that before April? Could we see it this month? Who knows? But good to know, as I say, it looks like Wired Productions is making good on their promise to bring as many of their games from their catalogue as possible to Stadia, which is great to see. Right, ladies and gentlemen, jobs time. Who wants a job? Anybody needs a job? Yeah? Jobs time. It's always an indication that a sector or company or whatever is growing when they're hiring. We've talked about it before. And first of all, today in our jobs, related to Stadia, we have a shout out from a Stadia employee looking for people to work with them, looking for a user experience designer. Now this was specifically tweeted out by somebody who already works at Stadia. It says, work with me on Stadia. We're looking for upcoming or recent grads. So this is a graduate trainee scheme sort of thing for a year. I looked into it a bit more. But it looks like they're trying to get graduate trainees in here to work specifically on Stadia. So the job itself here doesn't specifically say Stadia in the job description, but the guy who posted it works for Stadia and is specifically saying we're looking for upcoming to join Partner Experience. So work with me on Stadia. So we know that this is, although this is a graduate trainer, user experience designer, university graduate, come in, work for Google, they will be working specifically on Stadia. So that's good to see. And it's all about the user experience. They talk about here about making things, create intuitive, innovative, and beautiful products that people love. So it's all about that user experience. So that's good to see. And it also wasn't just that Google employee. Also was promoted by this guy here, B Cubed, Robert Barlow Bush, who is also a Stadia employee. Are you an early career user experience designer? My team on Google Stadia is hiring. We make enterprise tools for game studios and publishers. So if you love gaming, then this is extra exciting, based in Waterloo, actually. So I think this is the same job, but also being promoted. No, this is a slightly different job. Again, user experience designer. Let's just put these jobs actually side by side. Bear with me. I think they're both they're both graduate trainee jobs. Let's get this other job up. I think they're slightly different jobs. User experience designer, university graduate. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just... No, they are slightly different. The job descriptions are slightly different. About the job here, ends is focus on the user and all else will follow. Anyway, the point is, ladies and gentlemen, these are two Stadia employees inviting university graduates to come join Google specifically to work on Stadia. So that's really cool. Again, always interesting. Even though the jobs don't mention Stadia, they are jobs specifically or trainee schemes. And looking into it after a year, I think you have the opportunity to get, so it's a trainee, it's a 1 year sort of traineeship, apprenticeship with Google. You'll be specifically working on Google Stadia. And then after that year, there is potential for a permanent position if you're interested. But anyway, I just think it's interesting that, again, they're hiring for Stadia, more hires for Stadia, which is always an encouraging thing, and indication that, especially hiring trainees, because you're not replacing people, you're bringing new talent into the company. So we know these are definitely not replacing people. They are specifically bringing in new graduate talent into Google, specifically to work on Stadia. But the Stadia-related jobs did not stop there, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. And I think the next one, the most exciting job posting relating to Stadia, was not from Stadia. No, indeed. It wasn't from, in fact, here. And this here, let's go big screen here. As you can see, in Japanese here. So this is Capcom. Yeah. Capcom are recruiting. And of course, you all read Japanese, don't you? I know Yoshida's in there. She can translate this. If that's a job, she translates Japanese to English. So there we go. Yoshida, get going. But up here, what they're looking for is people with game engine experience, specifically in Stadia. I am joshing with you. There is an English version, of course. I don't speak fluent Japanese. So this is to do with the development engine of the RE engine, which is what Capcom use for, they're basically their in-house gaming engine for Resident Evil and all their other games they do. So big publishers tend not always to get their developer engines off the shelf, like Unity and things like that. Sometimes they'll build their own specific engine, like Ubisoft has Snowdrop, things like that. EA has, I forget what EA has. And Capcom has the RE engine here, presumably the Resident Evil engine. In the development work of the Resident Evil engine, which is Capcom's in-house game engine, I'm in charge of the part that supports the entire game engine, including the design and development of the underlying library. We perform basic verification to function integration. Basically, they want it to, the game engine to be able to release games, yeah, for PS4, 5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PC, Stadia. iOS and Android. So basically, they want to make sure that we already know the RE engine ports specifically to Stadia, because obviously we've got Resident Evil games, and there is another game from Capcom that is due. But they're specifically hiring people to work on the Resident Evil engine, and they expect the people, they're saying that this engine ports to Stadia effectively. So very, very encouraging. Just like there was that job a few weeks ago, again, another Japanese company that ports specifically, that was very similar, but mentioned Stadia, bringing their games to Stadia. So somebody with experience of bringing their games to Stadia and all of that. So really, really interesting. So that's the job news front. Good stuff. Exciting to see. In other news, ladies and gentlemen, there was some other news, of course. We have Orcs Must Die. So new DLC, announcing new Orcs Must Die 3 DLC, tipping the scales, coming April the 7th. 5 new maps. Good, because I got bored with the maps. I loved Orcs Must Die, but I got a bit bored with the maps, including a war scenario, the new Tuatara race, new gear, new skins, and plenty more. Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Stadia, and Steam. So coming to all those platforms, new content, April the 7th, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see. And Stadia mentioned there at the end, as you can see. Stadia at the end. So good to see new DLC coming. And again, that's coming in April. And also, it looks like we've got achievements. Look like they've been added here. To shout out to Ninja Guy, Ninja Guy X, big shout out here. Achievements have been added. Go big here. So this is 9 to 5 is getting achievements in late May. So there's going to be a major update on 9 to 5, free to play, of course. Steam and Google Stadia achievements. So for all you achievement hunters, 9 to 5 is getting achievements for Stadia added in late May. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. All good stuff. All good stuff. So there we go. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us take a look. Let me close. I've got so many of these windows open. Let me close some of these windows before Chrome falls over. Oh, no, I should have kept some of those windows open. Never mind. And now we're going to take a closer look at the Google for Games Developer Summit coming up tomorrow. And, of course, it's not just Stadia pushing the Google for Games Summit, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. I came across this tweet here from Google Developer Space. So Google Developer Space from Singapore here. And they're specifically saying we have some great... they're retweeting, basically. We have the tweet from Stadia saying we have some great at Google Stadia sessions. This is Google Developer Space. They are an unofficial account for Google developers in Singapore. I just thought it was interesting. You know, we've seen Stadia tweeting it and stuff like that. And this is retweeting specifically the Stadia content. Because I noticed in this whiz here, the one content there is the Windows thing. But we'll come to that anyway. So they're aimed at developer startups and stuff like that in Singapore. That's the company, and they're just retweeting, which I thought was interesting. But the big question is, of course, what can we expect at the Google... Get a sore throat. What can we expect at the Google for Games Developer Summit? And what shouldn't we expect? As with all things with Stadia, ladies and gentlemen, as with all things with Stadia, we have history that we can look at. We have a track record we can look at. Last year, they said they would bring 100 plus games to Stadia, not at the summit, but just talking about Stadia in general. They said they were going to bring 100 plus games to the platform, and they brought 100 plus games in 2021, and they brought 100 plus games to the platform. This year, they said they'll bring 100 plus games to the platform, and they'll bring 100 plus games to the platform this year. So more of the same. And I think we can apply the same principle. In fact, I know we can apply the same principle to the Google for Games Developer Summit. We can basically expect more of the same. We can basically expect what we had, or at least in terms of the type of content, not necessarily the specific content, but the type of content, what we had last year. This is a developer publisher facing summit. It is not a consumer facing summit. It is for the industry. Oh yeah, but Clive, why is Stadia hyping it up so much? Stadia's hyping it. Hyping it. Stadia is not hyping it. Not at all. They've merely been letting us know the event is happening, that they will outline what they've been doing in terms of their plans for 2022. This is exactly what they did in 2021. The only difference here is that they are communicating a bit more. Why? Because us Stadians often complain, Stadia don't communicate enough with us. So as soon as they do, it's like, oh, we're all on the hype train now. No, they're just doing what we've asked in surveys or on forums. It's Stadia listening. Why doesn't Stadia communicate more? Well, here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Here you go. Look at this tweet here. Again, I tweeted this out a little while ago, but this was, look at this. As requested by you. Yeah, you. Yes. No, the other one. Yes, you. I'm looking at you. As requested by you, the Stadians. Yeah? We're committed to providing more behind-the-scenes context into our developer-facing project. They're saying it plain as bread. Right there and there. Right in your face. As you requested, you wanted more information. We're committed to providing more behind-the-scenes context into our developer-facing projects. This was from, when was this from? March the 10th. This was from 4 days ago. They're pretty technical, but we think you'll enjoy. Tune in next week. So Stadia are definitely not hyping this. Yeah, they're just giving us the information that people on Reddit and everyone else have been demanding. Well, they communicate more. They need to communicate more. Yeah. And secondly, I think the reason they're doing this is I think Stadia are trying to be more proactive and communicate and effectively starting to try to own the narrative. I talked about it before on this show, especially in the light of the fallout from the Business Insider article. You know, they're trying to just own the narrative, tell us what's happening a bit more, you know, invite us to things like this, even though the invite in itself doesn't mean that it's going to be mind-blowing. It's just keeping us informed. And it does seem to have done the trick, this sort of very positive, on the front foot communication that we're seeing from Stadia. Even if, ladies and gentlemen, even if the tech press is a little bit slow off the mark. So it all started with the Verge article that said, so there's a lot of positivity around Stadia in the last sort of couple of weeks, in the last week or so. And it all started with a Verge article that said a Reddit user spotted an interesting session at the Google for Games Developer Summit. A Reddit user. A Reddit user. The Verge was quoting a Reddit user who somehow spotted this thing. We've known about this for weeks. I highlighted, and I'm not alone in this, I highlighted it on this very show a month ago. Yeah? We've known about this. And only this week, all the tech press suddenly start writing about it because of the Verge article, because of the Reddit post. And the Reddit post could well be because Stadia tweeted out they're doing this, even though a lot of people, you know, I've mentioned it on this show, we knew weeks ago because it was there. You just basic search developer summit. Yeah. But it's working, isn't it? Stadia posting out that they're doing this event and inviting Stadians. Some Reddit user who obviously doesn't watch this show picked up on it, posted a thing on Reddit last week or so, only about 3 or 4 weeks after we all knew. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Tom from The Verge picked it up, did an article on it, and then we get all these loads of positive articles, which is great. I'm not complaining about that. One tech blog, which shall remain nameless, but I wonder if you can guess which one it is, even mentioned the Developer Summit in passing about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah? This particular tech blog picked up on the Google for Games Developer Summit and some of the sessions in it and sort of disparagingly dismissed it as probably, oh, it's probably only to do with white labeling. Yeah? A tech blog posted something about the Google Summit about 4 weeks ago. That same tech blog last week jumped on the Verge bandwagon and acted all surprised that there was this session about creating a Windows emulator, plus more games potentially coming to Stadia and how amazing it might be. And the session that the Verge picked up on, that was picked up on by this Reddit user, who's about 4 weeks too late, isn't a new session. The session had been there for 4 weeks, for weeks. The session was there when this tech blog that shall remain nameless wrote about the Google for Games developer context and just dismissed it as some more white labeling information, and that will be it. Suddenly The Verge puts a spin on it, and suddenly we're seeing this facsimile approach. Yeah, and that same tech blog has done a complete flip-flop, and yet no additional information has been added to the very source they quoted originally 4 weeks ago and just dismissed the whole thing as some kind of nonsense about white labeling. It's literally the same info they had at their fingertips 4 weeks ago. Nothing's changed. But, you know, hey, I don't want to get too ranty. What are you going to do? I don't know. How about a bit of basic research, eh? Simple research, tech blog writer. Anyway, I digress. Back to the content. What do we know, right? What do we know? Well, we know there is a Stadia keynote, right? Which makes perfect sense since Kari Knapp is there and she provided the Stadia keynote speech last year. So we know that for sure. So last year, back in 2021, the cat's mother, Kareen, talked about Stadia, where they'd been in terms of a few stats and things that they, you know, where they've been, where they were done. So this was back in last year. They brought 108, you know, back in last April, whatever. They brought 180 plus games to the platform. There are 100 million endpoints, all of that. She talked about where Stadia had sort of come from, where they were in 2021 and where they were going with Stadia in 2021. And that broke down into two main areas for developers and publishers: the business side and the tech side. So last year, Stadia announced a new improved revenue share for developers who publish games on Stadia. a new Stadia Pro revenue and incentive model for those who choose to include their games in Stadia Pro. And we've seen the results of that with a number of developers and publishers stating that they've had great results from these new business models. So Akupara Games and Outright Games both quoted in a Stadia Dev blog post a few weeks ago that they've seen amazing results from the new Stadia Pro, having their games as Stadia Pro and taking advantage of the new Stadia Pro incentive that was announced last year. And also just generally in terms of the revenue schemes, the general sort of back-end share you get from having your games on Stadia. And on the tech side, last year, we also saw how they were looking to improve the porting and reduce the certification process to make it easier to get games on platform. So last year was very business orientated, very much a two-pronged approach to get more games on Stadia. Yeah? So what can we expect from this year? Well, I think we're going to get a commentary on how these things have gone over the last 12 months. I think Karine Yap will say last year we introduced these new incentive schemes and, here's some stats and stuff like that. So I think we'll see that. That'd be interesting. I'm very interested to see that. We know there's, as I said, we've had quotes from developers saying they've had very positive results and all of that. I think the business and tech side will be covered again. On the business side, I'm not sure what that could be. It could be an extension of the current revenue schemes. Could be a new variation on new revenue schemes or incentives, or possible mention of expansion. Don't know. But something to make the business proposition more, for developers and publishers, more interesting, or at least move the needle for publishers and developers in terms of, making them decide to bring their games to Stadia. Part of how that can be achieved is by drastically improving and making easier the actual process of getting the games on Stadia, and thus making that return of investment decision for developers and publishers much more attractive. And on that front, the how to write a Windows emulator for Linux from scratch is in itself super interesting. Let's just have a look at the... So this is the blog post that everybody's got excited about. How to write a Windows emulator for Linux from scratch. Detailed overview of technology behind Google's solution for running unmodified Windows game on Stadia. Unmodified. Literally press a button and a Windows game plays. This is a deep technical walkthrough, so over my head. But I will try and follow it through some of the core concepts and the goal to allow curious programmers to better understand such technologies and potentially build their own. So I don't think this is necessarily Google offering their solution. It's offering publishers and developers and the sort of the tech people at publishers and developers an opportunity to build their own Windows emulator. I mean, from a business point of view, if you're the tech guy and you can go, yeah, I've built a Windows emulator, so if we want to bring our games to Stadia, it is now just a question of pressing a button. Then the business people are going to go, all right, so we're not having to spend any extra porting time. That's going to save us several £1,000s. And look at all these revenue models that they offer. It's money for old rope. And that's where Stadia are at the moment. Stadia shouldn't necessarily be chasing. I mean, they still need to chase games, but they shouldn't be chasing aggressively. They need to make it so that they don't have to chase, that the games come to them. They don't have to fish for the games. The games come to them. And you do that by concentrating on the business, the revenue side of it, the revenue return, the incentives, and making it easy just to bring the games. Because if Stadia is to be sustainable, they can't go chasing big games and throwing money at them all the time. That's not how it works. You do that at the beginning, but after a while, you want to get to the situation where you tip the balance, where people want to bring their games to Stadia. And that is a combination, obviously, user base, revenue prospects, and investment. And if you can reduce that investment by making it easier to bring the games, then more chance that, the business side, the decision makers within publishers are going to go, well, if it's not costing us anything, yeah, there's just money for old rope. Let's do it. So without question of doubt, this is exciting. It is very interesting, and I know a lot of people are super excited about this one. It's not just this, though. But ultimately, what it involves, what the takeaway will be, is going to be unclear. But what we do know, well, if you do your research, what we do know is that the presenter, Marcin Undak, I hope I've butchered his name, Marcin Undak, has been working on this for a while. I think he's been like 2 years. He's been working on this. And he's been working with a group called The Forge Interactive, interestingly enough. This is going to probably get a little bit technical, more than my head knows. So The Forge Interactive is this company here, or this group here. And they provide services in terms of helping to craft developer engines, evaluate your game engine. If you build a game engine, they'll come in real techie guys who know how to optimize, game engines. They'll come in and basically tune your game engine up, make it even better. They'll help you build custom engines, maybe on top of something like, I guess, Unity or something like that, and then build out your own publisher-specific engine, like we talked about the RE engine for Capcom and stuff like that, extending your game engine, tools and development. So really specifically to do with building tools for gamers. And that Marcin Undak, that was his name, wasn't it, has been working with The Forge. Now, how do we know this? How do we know this, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I'll tell you. There was an article here, and shout out for Jack for sharing this with me. Jack, I hope you don't mind that I'm sharing this out. This is from Boiling Steam, which is PC gaming on Linux is so tomorrow. And they talk about here Stadia to introduce its own solution to run Windows games on Linux. And they talk about here the Google for Games Developer Summit. They talk about Marcin Undak, senior software engineer. And then there's this conversation. So they highlight here that one of the major issues with Stadia so far, too few games. Apparently the effort required native ports to Linux to make games work. Blah, blah, blah. Many of us have been wondering for a while Stadia don't use something like Proton. Well, it means it seems they may have just done that or built their own solution. And there's this conversation, I think it's within LinkedIn, not 100% sure, between Marcin Undak and Wolfgang Engel, who is the CTO, CFO of The Forge Interactive, the company I've just shown you about there. And 2 weeks ago, he talked about here, I'm happy to announce I'm going to present what I've been working on over the last 2 years at Google. So we are seeing the culmination. So this could be a game changer because it's 2 years in development. And so we could only just start seeing, this is just at the beginning of where this could impact. If you're interested in how to write a Windows emulator for Linux from scratch, tune in on March the 15th or watch later on Studio. And it says here, turns out someone from The Forge Interactive has been working with Marcin Undak on this very project. And Wolfgang Engel here says, awesome. I shared the link with the team here at the Confetti / The Forge. Thank you, Wolfgang. It was a blast working with you guys on this project. You have such an amazing team of pros there. So Martin Undak's been working with the Forge Interactive, by the looks of things, who specialize in game engines, fine-tuning game engines, and all of that. So I just thought I'd share that bit of information with you. Again, shout out to Jack. I can't claim the glory for this. That's what Jack's doing. He shared it with us, but I just think it's very, very interesting. And I've not seen anybody else talk about that aspect of it. You get the stuff here, you know. So anyway, so that's Forge Interactive working with Marcin Undak, and that talk's going to be interesting. But so are, those are not the only talks, of course, ladies and gentlemen. So are the talks on the QA process. Martin Bartlett, we saw, talked about improving the certification process for QA. And he on a previous sort of mini summit he's going to be talking about that. There's also sessions that include elements of how to improve the performance of a game on Stadia, something that people, you know, say, surely the games can run better than this. You know, we've seen some games that run amazingly well on Stadia and some that don't. And there's a session specifically on how to improve how games run on Stadia, which is very, very exciting, and all of that. So overall, good stuff. But I think if you understand the Google for Games Developer Summit from this perspective, yeah, a bit of business, little bit of business, yeah, doing a bit of business with a bit of technical, yeah, little bit of business, little bit of technical. Set your expectations within that framework. Yeah. And it should be very interesting tomorrow. I think I still think it's exciting. If you're into that sort of thing, I think it's going to be interesting. And it's not just me saying this, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just me. Only a few hours ago, you know, as if to calm the nerves, Stadia tweeted out here. Again, to remind us, oh, they're hyping it, hype. No, they're not hyping it, just remind us. We're putting the final polish on the Google for Games Dev Summit tomorrow. We've got several dev-focused sessions centering on the technical side of the business. Meaning, I love it how they're spelling it out for the people at the back. Yeah? Are you paying attention? Meaning, you at the back, put the ruler down, stop throwing screwed up pieces of paper, and pay attention. Meaning, I'll be asking questions later. This won't be a forum for game announces or player-focused news. But keep your eyes here for the latest. Yeah? This is business-focused, technical and business-focused, yeah? It's not me saying it. This is Stadia saying it, and I'm glad. Again, there's another sign of Stadia being very positive, managing expectations and all of that. Stadia have been very, very clear about it. I am being very, very clear about it, you know? So I've seen some people I kind of have a certain respect for get a little bit carried away. Just wind it in a little bit, yeah? Don't make too many leaps. If you're expecting game announcements or some mind-blowing promise of 8K, 120K frames per second nonsense, or suddenly every Windows game's known to man suddenly coming to Stadia in the next 3 weeks, then come on. Do I really have to say it? Yeah? Do I have to press this button? Do I have to? If you think that, they're going to announce Elden Ring tomorrow. GTA in 8K, 120 frames. There, I reckon. Why hype it? That's what they're going to. No. You made me press the button. That was you. That was you. So just be cool, yeah. Just be cool. What we do know is that we'll know more about Stadia's future 24 hours from now than we do today. We're going to know more information about Stadia than we do today. And that's always a great thing. That's always great stuff. But before I finish on this, there is one very curious tweet that came out in the last hour or so, last couple of hours, that could make things very, very interesting. And it's who the tweet is from, ladies and gentlemen. And this is interesting. So this was a tweet, but a couple of hours ago, from AT&T News. Ladies and gentlemen, will be making an appearance at the Google for Games Developer Summit. Tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time to hear about the moves we've made in the gaming space and for what we have in store. There's me and Batman there. Curious. Of course, if I need to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, if I do need to remind you why this is curious, lest we forget this. Batman Arkham Knight is the first game to be powered by white label Stadia streaming. AT&T. So this was what, last year, wasn't it? It was last year. Thanks to Warner Brothers and AT&T, with our first example of Stadia acting as behind-the-scenes provider for another game service. Okay? So, what could this be? What could it be? Could it be AT&T announcing they're using, more games coming that, following on from Batman Arkham Knight? Curiouser and curiouser. Could it be, like some people have summarized, that Batman Arkham is an example of a game that used the Windows emulator? Or was it too early? Because this was what, last year, October. This is in October. Was it the first game that used the emulator? Or was the emulator, Marcin Udak says he's been working on it for 2 years. This came out in October, so it might miss that window. I don't know. To be honest, I've no idea. They could be going into mobile games. Remember, this Google for Games Developer Summit is not just Stadia, it's Android, Google Play, Google Tools, Stadia white label side of things is Google Tools, Google Cloud Tools. So interesting. Interesting. Could this be A&T starting their own game streaming channel using the Stadia tools and tech as they did with Arkham Knight? I'm making huge leaps and bounds connections. This tweet only came out a couple of hours ago, but it is interesting that AT&T themselves tweeted this out, and that they will be making announcements in the keynote. And I think it will not come in the Stadia section. It will come in the sort of Google for Games Cloud section, which may well use the Stadia tools, but it's just not. Stadia is the consumer side of things. The tools is Google streaming. Yeah? Google Stream. Stadia is the consumer. So it has its separate section. But the tools that run Stadia, Google Stream, also are available for people who want to use the tools in the Google Cloud, or want to use Google Cloud, like AT&T. Anyway, you can be sure, ladies and gentlemen, that just got me very excited and interested. I'm just, as I say, it may not be Stadia directly related, but it may be Stadia tech related. I'll be doing, of course, a deep dive on the outcome of all of this next week, no doubt. Don't worry about that. And you can follow John Scars Gaming is going to be doing a live stream of the event, so make sure you check out that. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Akash and Consigno for this. This last bit. If ever there was an example of the short-term memory of some tech blogs when it comes to Stadia, ladies and gentlemen, if ever there was an example, this is brilliant. This was from Akash and was retweeted by Consigno. Consigno here. And this is brilliant. This was in Tom's guide from February 2021. Google Stadia was never going to work. There was a headline of an article they wrote in 2021. Tom's guide. Google Stadia was never going to work. Stadia's saving grace has always been its ability to play games on platforms already owned, blah, 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 blah. But it was never going to work. It's never going to work. It's failed. It's dead. Dead entirely. Cut to this year, 12 months later, Stadia's not dead, and this one idea could shape the future of gaming, from Tom's guide. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. If you ever have any doubt about the veracity or trust or research that goes into the stuff that tech blogs write, look, I don't doubt some of the veracity of some of the stuff that tech blogs write. Yeah. But I've come to the theory and understanding that if you consider that cloud gaming is a 2% business, right? That's what we've seen in stats and stuff like that. Right now, it's 2% business. So if you are a gaming journalist or a tech blog journalist, it follows logically that actually you're going to give Stadia and stuff like that about 2% of your attention. Yeah, realistically, you're going to be focused on PC and Xbox and PlayStation. So part of the reason I think that some tech blogs are not as detailed or thorough as, say, this very show is because I put 100% into my research. They're probably putting about 2% effort in. And that's why you get situations like this. 1 year apart, the same publication, Google Stadia is dead. 12 months later, Stadia's not dead. This idea could shape the future of gaming. Anyway, I thought it was brilliant and just fantastic on Akash's part to just put those two things together. I just thought it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. They're not the only ones that have done a complete volte-face. You know, you can virtually pick any tech blog that a month ago was replicating and amplifying all the misinformed, amplifying the misinformed article about Stadia effectively closing or reducing their efforts on Stadia. Well, that same replication and amplification is happening to that Verge article on Stadia, how Stadia is about to turn things around. So, you know, it's great to see a good news Stadia story getting that kind of facsimile, you know, press the photocopier button that we've seen with so many bad news stories. But it does just show how various articles are just the same article rewritten with very little research or analysis. Nothing like you get on this show, I can tell you. But, you know, right now Stadia is benefiting from that lack of research and just people just regurgitating one particular article, which makes you, when there's a bad news story, it's no good saying, oh, The Verge say it, and they say it, and they're saying it, and they're saying it, so it must be true. No, one source says it and everybody else repeats it. That doesn't make it true. It's still only one source that it all stems from. But anyway, the last week or so, Stadia has benefited from that kind of ridiculous, lazy replication process. Anyway, there we go. Time for the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Shall we get to it? I hope you enjoyed that. I hope I wasn't too ranty. Well, I do hope I was ranty. Do hope it. I'm looking forward tomorrow even. I'll learn to speak properly. Am I hyped? That's not necessarily the word. But there we go. Let's quickly address this from Jeff. We could check while we're here. You're going to hear about the moves we've made in the gaming space and what we have in store. There will be an announcement, that means. It's not just an appearance. They're going to be talking about what they have in store in terms of gaming. So they are entering the gaming space. I can only... Yeah, my best bet is that it is actually based on the back of the Batman Arkham experiment. They're going to be publishing loads of Warner Brothers games on a streaming type channel of some sort, a streaming service. And Batman Arkham was just the pilot for that. Because obviously Warner Brothers owns AT&T owns Warner Brothers. So we could see other Warner Brothers titles do that. Very, very interesting. But yeah, hear about the moves we've made in the gaming space and what we have in store. So very much an announcement of some sort, but not Stadia. Yeah, just be clear about that. It's not a Stadia announcement. Let's just bring that. Anyway, let's go to the chat. Oh, sorry, I should have shared that just so you can see quickly what I was talking about there. Sorry, just so you can see. Hear about the moves we've made in the gaming space and what we have in store, just to be 100% clear what AT&T are saying. Yeah? So it is some sort of announcement of what they've got planned. And I think it will be on the using Google Cloud and the Google Stream technology, probably, is my best bet. Anyway, there you go. That answered that. So let's get to the chat, ladies and gentlemen. The Mischief's been playing Outriders. Yoshida, konnichiwa, arigato gozaimasu. We needed you when, where were you when we needed the translation of the Capcom job? Old is gold. Well, if the game is good, Twisted Barber, you're quite right. There's a reason the game is popular, because they keep bringing, like Cities Skylines are popular is because they keep bringing content and people love building, expanding, like Minecraft, like Minecraft. In Minecraft, Minecraft's ain't, really old, isn't it? 20 years old, is it? Is that old? 10 years? Who knows? Anyway, still, my kids still play it, love it. They still watch YouTubers play it. They've loved it as when they were young, when they were 10, 11, 12. My 17-year-old daughter still loves Minecraft, still watches videos. Yay, Jack, how are you? You can watch the full show tomorrow, Jack. I expect a full report, as ever, but thank you for dropping in. Hey, Dominic made it. That's good to see. Yeah. I really see, Hell Let Loose looks like my type of game. I love Medal of Honor the Medal of Honor games when they came out, and that kind of, and Battlefield. I love Battlefield. Made me cry. Battlefield 1, Battlefield 1, that is. So yeah, it looks really good. I love the look of it. Maybe I'll check out on Twitch and see if anybody's been streaming it. Dominic, one of my, right. So you, shout out to Dominic, his member there. He's got his little members, little icon there, clown face. Yeah, you can signo. Oh, cheats. Oh, yes. No phones when playing Triv. Yeah, no phones. Why is my... I'm just going to lower that down there. Just put that over there. Covering up my face if it's too high. Right. Oh, no, I need it because of somebody's 2 lines. Okay. Right. Driving and listening. Drive carefully. Yeah, Inled's in there, mate. Since days, yeah. Since days. Yeah, I only got the tweet. Yeah, those that remain... No, deliver us the moon. I only do the show on a Monday. That's why I do a Stadia News TLDR. I hope you're watching the Stadia News TLDR midweek. There will be one this week. Popcorn ready. Yeah, all right, Victor. We'll get there. Oh, yeah. Was it the Canadians who made Trivial Pursuit? I did not know that. That should be a question, hashtag. In fact, I did know it today, but I didn't know it last week. I did see somebody tweet about it. Okay, it's all right, Jeremy. Take your time. Take your time there. That's cool. Thank you, Sooner Live. They will be there. AT&T. Stadia is a subscription service that should to service its subscribers. Not sure what you mean there. Hey, Mr. Bayram Plays. How are you? Oh, thank you, Travis Myers. Much respect, service. Hilarious. Well, that's good. Yes. Well, more of Sonny's. As many of Sonny's gang can come over. Yeah. We go deep dive. Yeah. We go deep here, Travis. We go deep. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Tech blog. Yes. We should do. That's a good idea, Consigner. We should do a drinking game, like a word bingo. Yeah. Stadia Monday night chat word bingo. Because I do repeat myself for certain phrases and words. Yeah. Maybe we'll start issuing Stadia Monday night chat word bingo cards before the show. And there'll be a prize if somebody gets shouts bingo, house, and all of that. And you do indeed, Jinx. You've got to love writers. Look, I get it. It's just what frustrates me is I'm not a professional writer. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm 100% focused on Stadia information and news and putting it together. And to give tech writers, as I said, the benefit of the doubt, Stadia is not top of their priority. I mean, I'd like to think that 9 to 5, was it them I was referring to? We're a bit more focused on Stadia because it's 9 to 5 Google and all of that. But the other bigger blogs, as I said, if cloud gaming is a 2% business, it's going to get 2% attention. That's just logic, yeah? And 2% attention to detail. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but really, there's no excuse other than that. Jeff, lovely to see you, sir. Hey, Winstar. 220. Yeah, I don't know how many titles I've got. Ooh. Well, indeed. But, other cloud services didn't get Elden Ring, so Stadia's not alone in that. Rust. Yeah, I don't. Rust looks an old game. I watch Limmy, Scottish comedian who has a Twitch channel. Some of you may know. I watch Limmy play Rust. I don't quite get the game. I know it has a big PC Twitch following, so it would be good. I disagree with Jeff. Jeff, what you disagree with me? Woo. I think the emulator session would be a deep code in C or something, how a developer can take their code base and add in some Windows emulation into their existing code base. Isn't that kind of what I said? But yes, I think it will basically saying this is how we did it. It's not that difficult. So you can do it too. And once you're set up with your own Windows emulator publisher developer, then after that, it's just a case of pressing a button. I don't know. DJ Grom, Mao. Is that a Mao or a Mo or a Moo? Exactly. A diabolical plan. We love a diabolical plan. Hello, Cloud Validation. How are you? Bud. Another shout out to Bud, another great member. I can't quite see. Is that the... Yeah, clown face there. Bud, another member. If you want to join, remember, hit the join button down there. They won't be there. They'll be listening. Yeah. Some developers will be there if they're doing specific talks about if they've been invited by Google. So there is a developer there talking about how they use some Google Cloud tools for hosting their multiplayer game. So some people extrapolated that means that multiplayer game might be coming to Stadia. I don't chide with that. I don't necessarily agree with that. It just so happens to be a developer who uses the Google, some of the online, multi-online, oh, I've forgotten the word now. Anyway, multiplayer online game tools available in Google Cloud, and they host their game in Google Cloud. And it looks a fun game. I forget who it was. But they're doing a talk. So there will be some developers there, but those developers there will be specifically invited by Google to talk about how they bought their, how they published their game on Google Play or mobile gaming or used Google Cloud tools or something like that. So probably not Capcom, EA or things like that, but they'll be listening, or their tech bods will be listening. Yeah, it's for developers and firms that may be in the audience. Yeah, exactly. They'll be in the audience. All developers. The technical guys from EA, all that kind of stuff, they'll all, those that are interested. It's like going to it's an industry conference. It's like going to an industry conference and it's like me going to the Edinburgh, in the UK, it's like me going to the Edinburgh Film and Television Festival. Yeah. And there's loads of sessions there that I could attend because I work in TV. So, it's that sort of thing. Anyone who can develop games could be EA, could be... Exactly, Jeff, exactly. White Label Summit. Yeah. I'm interested to see... Well, the white labeling side will fall under the Google Cloud side. So if we just go back quickly to the sessions... The sessions are broken down, really. If I just go here very quickly, just so you can see. You've got Google Cloud Games and Infrastructure Track. You've got here these different sections. So there is an Android games section. I seem to remember. Right, so there'll be people talking about Android games, bringing your games, developing for games for Android and all that, and Google Play and all of that, which is a $48 billion business for Google Play, $48 billion business for Google. And then there's a separate section called Cloud Games and Infrastructure Agenda, and under that sits Google Cloud and Stadia. And this is the studio I was talking about, Embark Studios, talking about using open source backend tech. So basically using Google Cloud tools to build their own, to use as a multiplayer platform for their game, which is a very exciting game, good game. But that's under the Google Cloud section, yeah, not under the Stadia section. But all of this is under Google Cloud and Infrastructure Track. Then you've got the this is specifically Stadia, play testing made easy. Underneath Stadia here, how to write a Windows emulator underneath the Stadia section. Under here, you've got large scale metaverse under the Google Cloud. So using Google Cloud to create a metaverse. Migrating a live gaming service. So if you've got a live gaming service, how to migrate that to Google Cloud under the Google Cloud section. So it's not just Stadia, remember, ladies and gentlemen. It's all it's to do with all games related to Google, Android, Google Cloud tools, Stadia, all of that. So there we go. Exactly, bud. Anyone from the Google Cloud gaming side of things could be there. AT&T has a lot of good games. Do we meet AT&T or Warner Brothers? But yeah, I think they do. Full library coming for DirecTV. Good shout. A clone of the Stadia library, but AT&T label for DirecTV boost. See, I'm less familiar with AT&T, but obviously the US. Stadia and Luna teaming up. No, I can't see Amazon and Google teaming up. I giggled at the Warner Brothers response to the WB response to Consigno. Was that at the AT&T announcement? Was that specifically the I'm curious now. You got me interested there, Lord Vivek. So we covered that one off here. Oh, yeah, Tom. Sorry, Ron. Tom from The Verge. So Tom is a journalist. Sorry, Tom is a journalist from The Verge. And he wrote an article saying, he wrote the big article that every other tech blog has effectively copied. But for once, as I said, it's a good news story, a good news Stadia story. But he wrote the article quoting that he'd spotted that a Reddit poster had spotted this session. For fuck's sake. Session been there for weeks. Anyway, from that article was then replicated, regurgitated, copied, facsimiled, all of these on all the other tech blogs, all saying, oh, this could be the savior of Google. Could Windows games be coming to Stadia and all of that kind of stuff? Anyway, Tom's Guide was my mum's go-to for tech news and reviews. Would love to see some honesty and consistency. Look, you know, maybe what some of the stuff they write is thorough and detailed. And all I'm saying is, you know, when it comes to Stadia, it ain't. Hopefully I've covered that for you, Jeff, there. Hey, Mr. Ken, how are you? Yeah, they do indeed. And if those games that are on Amazon Luna, if you put your game on Amazon Luna, it suggests that you're open to the idea of cloud gaming and putting your game on cloud platforms. And maybe the reason you haven't put it on Stadia is because it just requires a little bit too much effort. So if it doesn't require effort, maybe if your game's on Luna, you bring it to Stadia as well. So yeah, Devil May Cry, all of that. Indeed, indeed. Anyway, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Good chat. Good chat. Good chat, people. I didn't even put you on chat there just to say you were there. Oh, it's not even refreshing. That's why. Good job I didn't. Should I repair that now? Oh, there it is. It's popping. Oh, all right. Brilliant. Pops up at the bottom. Ooh, let's see if I can refresh it. I've been lurking, says Crow Resin. I'm refreshed the page now. None of you there. I was lurking, but wanted to say a great show as always. Thank you, Crow. Thank you. Anyway, since my chat's decided to refresh and then not publish any of your lovely chats, never mind. Hopefully I've gone through all of them anyway. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Excited about tomorrow. Just from a kind of interesting point of view, because as I said, we're going to know a little bit. We're going to know stuff tomorrow that we didn't know today about Stadia. And that is always, for me, and hopefully for you as followers of Stadia, always exciting anyway. We love finding out news, discovering information about Stadia. And you can bet your bottom dollar we're going to get a shed load of it tomorrow. Hey, I love that kind of stuff. I love it, man. I love that shizzle. So looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody who came along today. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for partaking in the chat, getting involved. Let me know what games you've been playing, asking the questions, all of that. I say, ladies and gentlemen, why don't we do this tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah? Not tomorrow. Next week. Let's not do it tomorrow, please. Why don't we do this all again next week? Yeah? And let's see what's come out of the Google for Games Developer Summit 2022 tomorrow and all of that. So I will see you same place, same time next week. Enjoy the summit. Enjoy the week. Enjoy playing games on Stadia. And I'll see you around very, very soon. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for being here. Goodbye.